Namaste, Vanakkam, Swagatam, everyone. Welcoming you all to our fourth session today of this course, a Primer of Yoga Theory. And we have had a lovely weekend, all of us together. We met at different occasions and we had wonderful events put together. And thanks to everyone's effort to make sure that it turned out successful in the end. I want to thank you all for that first, initially, before we get started. And in case you weren't part of it, and if you want to see what happened, I've shared the links in the various WhatsApp groups, and I believe Dr. Sir sent it through email so that everyone can, if you have missed an event by chance and you want to go and look back, you're most welcome to. We'll get started with the prayer to the Guru Parampara, invoking our Swamiji's energy and blessings before we start the wonderful teachings. And today we'll be going through Ashtanga Yoga in-depth asana. So last class we went through Adhikara Yoga, Yama and Niyama, and I hope the concepts have settled in and that slowly you all are getting in tune with what's going on. We'll just get started with the prayer and we'll get into the lesson today. Om तत्परम्पर्याय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयाते। ओम योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरी गुरु महाराज की जय। Welcome everyone once again. And we are going to have an interesting session ahead. We're going to focus on the different sutras in relation to the asanas and the various important asanas, and so that it's not only the asana name, we are going to go through what they actually mean. Like, for example, Padmasana, as we have Padma here, that's the first one that strikes me. Padmasana as lotus posture. So on, we'll be seeing quite a number of asanas. We can't see all 84 lakhs, that's not possible, but we'll see the major important ones that are pretty much used in our practice. So welcoming. So I'll just share my screen so that we can get into the lesson today. I hope you all can see my screen in front of you. We are on what is asana today. So the first one here, just to get started, how does Maharishi Patanjali define an asana? So he defines an asana as Sthira Sukham Asanam. So the meaning for that is asana is a posture held with firm So back to that sutra, Sthira Sukham Asanam. Asana is a posture held firm with comfort. So that's the most important thing. We should keep in mind that asana is not to just showcase our talent, saying like, I can do this, even I can, and you can't. Okay, like there are many asana competitions, but the competition is brought out just to make people practice it, get them on the way, get started in the practice and all that. And as Ammaji says, the 3 R's, regularity, rhythm, and repetition. So just getting the people into the path. That's why these competitions are there. And only if there's a competition, the truth is only then people will actually practice. But I'm not mentioning everyone. There are few people who are focused on their practice for their own good, for their self-control, for their well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, everything. But here the most important thing is that the asana should be held firm, it should be steady, it should be strong, it should be comfortable. And what happens is when people go into this crazy moods, like I'm going to do this dangerous and the most tough asana, and I should be the best asana champion and all that. That actually doesn't mean much. So we have to keep this in mind. And even though asana is focused by Maharishi Patanjali here, he very much brings it out in the most important definition. And this is the most important one. Like asana, this is what should come after the word asana. So he itself emphasized on the point, and the essence is that the asana should be held firm and it should be comfortable. We shouldn't be suffering. We shouldn't have actually like we have to hold it. Like it shouldn't, we can push ourselves through practice, but it shouldn't be a complete forceful action. Like it's not like we just jump into it and come back. Like it should be a slow and gradual process, slowly going into the asana. We should feel the asana. We should actually become the asana, actually. So that's what Maharishi Patanjali means here. And I'll just go to the next question before Dr. Sir will elaborate on this. How many asanas are said to exist? They say 84 lakhs. That's 84 plus 5 zeros at the end. So the number of asanas totally that are said to exist is 84 lakhs. And it's hard to know 84 lakh names. Like even the people of our family, friends, we might not know 84 lakhs, okay? We might get close to 1,000 or something, but so don't try going and memorizing all these asana names, There are few essential points that we'll be keeping in touch, but we'll be going through everything because it's interesting to see the different texts, how many asanas they consider and which asanas they consider. And you'll see a lot of common asanas coming in many of the texts. So those common asanas are very essential. And so this whole chapter is going to be on asana. I think I'll let Dr. Sir get over a little bit before I come back to the next question.
Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam everyone. And first of all, a big thank you to everyone for making Ammaji's birthday celebration such a wonderful time. And I just have come up from singing for her. And I asked her, how would you describe your birthday celebrations? And she said, spectacular. So that's all I need as a son, as a student, and as a devotee. I don't need anything more than that. When that word spectacular can come out of her, I know we have done what we wanted. Coming to today's lesson, thank you, Divya, for this beautiful introduction. And I am admiring the expressive way that she takes this forward. And she was talking about what we say, na halat, na balat. Do not force yourself into asana. It is said it is not to be forced. And this is so contrary to the modern, violent, sadomasochistic approach to asana that you find in the plastic yoga world, where it's all about forcing yourself by hook or crook, or by prop or trop, to get into the posture. Whether you are ready for it or not, nobody even thinks. I have to get into it, use a pulley, have someone hang you upside down, pull you from the back, push you from the back, do something, get into it, and force yourself into it. It is such a violent approach. The first rule of yoga, do no harm. Do no harm to yourself. And so much of violence has come into the modern yoga approach to asana. Today's topic is asana, and the modern plastic yoga is based on asana alone, to such an extent that you have the modern yoga scholars calling it postural yoga, because that's what it has become, postural yoga. And I like that because at least it's honest. They are not trying to do anything except postural yoga, which is asana. Now, I wish it were posture, but it is only pose. It's not even posture yet. And I'm going to come into that today, because when Maharishi Patanjali talks about asana, sthira sukham asanam, 3 words, and they actually all come together in one phrase. Sthira Sukham Asanam. That's all. Sthira Sukham Asanam. You split it. Sthira Sukha Asanam. Sthira means that which is stable. Stability. Sukha means that which is a state of inner comfort that can be defined as ease. Because the moment you say sukha, everybody's like, well, I need to do my yoga with 5 pillows to be comfortable. No, it's not about doing it with 5 pillows or in ambient temperature. It is about you finding the inner stability and inner comfort zone, which is your sukha sthanam, that inner zone of comfort, that niche of ease, where you are at ease with yourself. And when you are at ease with yourself and you are stabilized in that state, nothing can push you or pull you off balance. That is the state of asana. For Maharishi Patanjali, asana is not something you do, it is something you become. You become a state. You attain to that state of being where you are at ease with yourself, and in that state of ease, you find inner stability. Doesn't matter whether the cyclone is raging outwards. The external cyclones can be going, but you are in the eye of the storm. You have the calm that lies deep within. We'll come back to that on the next page when we look at 3 sutras related to it. 84,000. In India, we call it lakhs. 1 lakh is 100,000, so 84 lakh. LACK. In the population of the world that uses the millions, this would be 8.4 million. So 10 lakhs is 1 million. That's the conversion. 8.4 million asanas. And so you have people trying to find them. As Dhivya said, don't waste your time trying to learn the name of all the asanas or do them, because they don't exist that way. The closest I have seen is a book called 2,100 Asanas, and a beautiful book depicting 2,100 asanas that are used in yoga sport events. And many years ago in South America, D. Rose created an encyclopedia with thousands of asanas, which at that time was amazing. And I remember some of the asanas were so outlandish that when I showed it to the kids at Patanjali, they said, sir, that is humanly impossible. We didn't know the word Photoshop in those days. They said it's impossible. I remember an asana where you put both your feet around your head and you're balancing on your elbows. And you have to lift the lower part of the body up. So you are balancing the whole body. It's like a lifted yoga nidra. Yoga nidra is the sleep of the yogis. You lie down with your feet crossed behind your neck, like your pillow. And this is like a lifted version of it. The kids said that's not possible. I said, well, there's a photo. Why not try it? And after some time, one of the kids could do it. And within half an hour, 22 kids were doing it. That's the joy of working with kids. It seems impossible. You just get one of them do it. You just have to get one kid doing it, and that 100 monkey phenomenon comes alive. Suddenly, because they say, if my friend can do it, I can do it. It's that mental barrier that we all have, thinking we cannot do it, and then someone does it. The 4-minute mile, everybody thought it was impossible. The 10 seconds for the 100 meter, everybody thought it was impossible. 6 meters pole vault, everybody thought it was impossible. Everybody thought it was impossible till someone did it. And suddenly you have dozens of people doing it. You have hundreds of people breaking the records. 8.4 million asanas. Now, this is not that there are so many asanas. We are going to have a look at it in a few moments, but this depicts the Indian concept that there are 8.4 million types of living species. And this is quite close to the modern numbers. It's not perfect, but it's quite close to it. 8.4 million types of species, varieties of life. And each variety of life on the evolutionary spectrum has its own state of being where it is at ease and stable within itself. When a donkey is being a perfect donkey, it is in its donkey asana. When the monkey is perfect in being a monkey and doing all the things of a monkey, it is in the monkey asana. When the amoeba in your gut and my gut is being the best amoeba it can be, it is in amoeba asana. When the coronavirus is doing what it's doing, it is in coronavirus asana. Seriously, I tell you, every form of life, of course, are viruses living or non-living? We are still awaiting the judgment on that debate. Viruses, there's a big debate. Are they living or non-living? That is why if just we human beings would be careful, we could eradicate this. Because it cannot jump around and do anything. But we are jumping around, and so it is jumping around with us. It's as simple as that. The whole thing about the virus is it cannot go nowhere. I'll tell you that much. The virus cannot go nowhere without our assistance. So the fault is not the virus, the fault is us human beings lacking basic discipline. Anyway, I will stop my rant on that because we just have shown ourselves to be something else. Every form of life has its own asana. And Swamiji used to ask his students, he said, what is your asana? What is your asana? What a beautiful question he used to ask people. What is your asana? And everybody used to get very confused. They used to say, what Swamiji, you mean? I like doing the headstand, so that's my asana. I like doing the handstand, it's my asana. I like Shavasana. He said, no, not the asana you like. He said, what is your asana? They said, Swamiji, we still don't know what you are saying. He said, what is that state of being? What is that state of being where you are at ease with yourself? What is that niche of ease? That is your asana. Because asana is a state of being where you are comfortable with being you. Nobody's comfort being themselves. Everybody wants to be somebody else. And Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, better to do your dharma, that is be you, rather than try to be somebody else, however low or high your being may be. A monkey doesn't want to be a donkey doesn't want to be a King Kong doesn't want to be a Godzilla, okay? But we always want to be somebody else. We want to have somebody else's life because we think it is better. The grass is greener on the other side, and the greenest of grass is usually artificial. And we have forgotten that message. So asana, when we say 8.4 million asanas, what it means is that every form of life has its own stable, comfortable zone of being. And this is why through the different asanas, the yogis wanted to create a simulation of the experiences of all forms of life. That is why we have the reptilian, the amphibian, we have the mammalian, we have the trees and the plants and the flowers. Then we have the human. What is the human asana? Vajrasana. Only human beings can do Vajrasana. It is the human posture. Then you're not satisfied just being human, you want to grow. So you have the rishis, the great seers, the yogis. You want to grow beyond that into the divinity itself. Natarajasana, Hanumanasana and all. And we keep on trying to work through this 8.4 million points of evolution through a simulation by performing asanas. Asanas were the original simulation techniques to experience what it is to be all of these life forms. And the moment you have experienced what it is to be that life form, you will understand it better. You will not exploit it. You will not be violent against it. You will not try to misuse, disuse, or abuse it, because you start to realize you and that form of life are one and the same. That is where the 8.4 million asanas come. And of the 8.4 million, there are different classifications. I think in one of the future lessons that will come up, and I'll come to that at that point. Over to you, Divya.
So I think Dr. Sir gave us a wonderful elaboration on the statement. As you see, just those 3 words, they mean so much. And that's why initially also Dr. Sir was reminding us that actually Maharishi Patanjali gave us 195, 196 verses, but each verse could actually become a whole book itself on its own. So that's actually very true. And moving to the next question, now we are going to slowly see different names of asanas, and you can just see that there'll be repetition of many of the names. Okay, so that means that asana is recognized by many texts, by many personalities, and so on. So I think those should be considered for sure. According to Hatha Pradipika, which are the 4 most important asanas? And before I get into the answer, one point is that I think initially we saw that although Maharishi Patanjali has given us the definition, Sthira-Sukha-Masanam, in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, he has never given any name of any asanas. So mostly we'll be referring to different texts, like we won't have Patanjali Yoga Sutras, like asanas from that text, because there are no asanas from that. But we'll see many asanas like from Hatha Pradipika, Dharanda Samhita, and many of these texts that have given us names of different asanas. So here, according to Hatha Pradipika, which is considered quite important, which are the 4 most important asanas? So here, if you see the 4 most important, Siddhasana, Padmasana, Simhasana, and Bhadrasana. So these are considered the 4 most important asanas according to Hatha Pradipika. So if you see these 4 asanas, I can assure you they'll be repeated in many of the texts, because if Hatha Pradipika says so, then usually I think the other texts also go along with it. And of these 4, not just the 4, of all the asanas, according to the same text, which is the most important asana? Siddhasana. So Siddhasana is considered the most important asana, and the 4 most important are Siddhasana, Padmasana, Simhasana, and Bhadrasana. And if we see next we'll just be having like classical asanas. So there'll be like 15, 33, and we'll just be seeing the different asanas. But all over the place, these 4 that we saw will be repeated in the different places. So these 4 will be part of the classical asanas in Hatha Pradipika. There are 15 of them in the following question. And then in the Gheranda Samhita, there are 33. And of those 33, these 4 will be found. And a few more asanas, there'll be few asanas that are a little different because they're different texts. That's why they have a different list and consideration of asanas. Now maybe we'll just be seeing the names of asanas, but towards the end of this lesson, we have names of 84 very actually most important asanas according to one of the texts which we'll be seeing. And with those 84 names of the asanas, we'll be seeing what posture or pose they are and what it signifies. So here, if we see Siddhasana, if you haven't heard of it, or maybe you're not quite clear about what it is, it's the adept's pose. So maybe I'll put it in the chat in case I'm differing in some pronunciation. So this is Siddhasana. I hope you all got it. And then Padmasana, I'm sure most of you know. Lotus pose. So I'll put that also just. So that's Padmasana, lotus posture. And then we have Simhasana. I think most of you know it. So that's, I think most of you would have guessed it, right? The lion's posture. And the final one, Bhadrasana, is the fierce posture. So basically, these four names are actually expected to be known because like the definitions, we'll be seeing Maharishi Patanjali, how he defined the asana, what benefits he gave of the asana. And we'll be seeing another sutra. So totally we'll be seeing three of them, which are considered very important, which actually give us the essence of what he tried to convey to everyone regarding asana. And the names of the asanas will be going through like Hatha Pradipika, Viranda Samhita. So I think I'll just give a read through of the names of the asanas. Maybe just it would help you in case you don't know the pronunciation. If you see in the fifth question, okay, I think Dr. Sir told us that Bhadrasana can also be auspicious. That's another way to look at it. What are the classical asanas mentioned in Hatha Pradipika? So as I told you, the four most important and one that's major. Please keep it as a must know thing. And these, we should just know that these actually exist rather than trying to memorize all of them. You just have an overall idea. Okay, these asanas exist. So if you see, the first four are ones that we already saw, right? Siddhasana, Padmasana, Simhasana, and Bhadrasana, followed by Swastikasana, Gomukasana, Virasana, Kurmasana, Kukutasana, Uttana Kukutasana, Dhanurasana, Matsyasana, Paschimottanasana, Mayurasana, Shavasana. So I think mostly these postures are quite well known. We have them pretty much in our practices, but maybe there are a few and they differ, like from tradition to tradition. It depends on under which teacher and tradition you learn the asanas, because few asanas, the names are the same, but it's taught in different variations. And none of them are wrong. It's just how the different people have learned it from their teachers. And the next one is Garanda Samhita, the classical asanas mentioned in Garanda Samhita. Siddhasana, Padmasana, Bhadrasana, and Simhasana is in the second line. So I told you, right, these four will be repeated mostly. So you can see those four are again part of the classical asanas also. And then the other asanas are Muktasana, Vajrasana that we just saw now. Swastikasana, that's also repeated. Gomukasana is repeated. Virasana, Dhanurasana, Mritasana, Guptasana, Matsyasana, Matsendrasana, Gorakshasana, Paschimottanasana, Utkatasana, Sankatasana, Mayurasana, Kukutasana, Kurmasana, Uttana Mandukasana, Uttana Kurmakasana, Vrikshasana, Mandukasana, Garudasana, Vrikshasana, Shalabhasana, Makarasana, Ushrasana, Bhujangasana, and Yogasana. So I would say maybe I might not know exactly right away to do most of these poses. Like there are a few that we know. Like for example, I hope you all like basically Dhanurasana. I think many of us practice Kurmasana, Shavasana for sure. I'm pretty sure. And we have Makarasana, where we lie down like the crocodile. Matsyasana, the fish posture. Dhanurasana is the bow posture. And then Paschimottanasana, where we give a wonderful stretch to our back, where we go down and touch our toes. And Gomukasana, and we have the other common one. Well, I think Kurmasana, most of you. Mayurasana, the peacock pose, that's my favorite. And Kukutasana, Shalabhasana. So will be Bhujangasana, the snake. And I think few of you have learned, maybe it's even in the step by step. I'm not sure if you have come across it already. So there are different asanas and different texts. So they just change in the different perspectives. Let me see if Dr. Sir wants to add something. No.
Here, the main point to describe is that the major texts when we talk about the asana, they are based on the Hatha, Pradipika, and the Garuda Samhita. And again, you don't even find 84 there, let alone 8.4 million. So just to put it in that context again. But what you do find is these 4 asanas are very important. Siddhasana, Padmasana, Simhasana, Bhadrasana. So these will be found in any list that is made. And all these 4 are seated postures. And for those who are doing the yoga step-by-step module 4, you will know that it is only in module 4, in the later lessons, that Swamiji is introducing these asanas. These were not, really in the beginning, the Siddhasana, we are just now dealing with it in lesson 44 and 45 out of 52. So no wonder, whereas many people, the first class you go, they want to teach you Siddhasana. So I'm just putting it in the context, the importance. And do not worry about the names too much, because later on today, we will look at 84 asanas, where we will also give you with the translation. So don't worry about the translation of it right now. And there's a question from Smita about Paschima Thana. Yes, they are the same. And it is written in the text as Paschima Thana. But when we are using it in modern times, it has become the Paschimotana. So the actual text gives it as Paschima Thana. That is how the text has given it. And hence that is referenced here. What I am just trying to understand is when I look at the Garuda Samhita, see Hatha Pradipika by Swatmarama, it gives 15 asanas. Whereas the Garuda Samhita gives 32 asanas. But when I'm counting there, for some reason, I'm counting 34. So I think I need to have another look at that list, because it should be 32, not 34. And I will have a look at it a little later, because I was just counting while Divya was reading them out. The Garuda Samhita list. The Hatha Pradipika, 15 are there. And what you will find here is the classical asanas. When people are talking about classical asanas, these are the names that actually should come up. Siddhasana, Padmasana, Bhadrasana, Muktasana, Vajrasana, Swastikasana, Simhasana, Gomukasana, Dhanurasana. So if you look at the modern Yogasana sort of extreme asanas, you actually find a lot of Dhanurasana there. So Dhanurasana, the bow posture, is definitely one of the classical ones. So we can always bring that in. And again, you find the Matsyasana, the fish posture, the Mayurasana, the peacock posture. These are found in Shavasana is found. But I just want to point out to you that in both the list of 15 and 32, what is happening is that you don't find the most crazy asana that everybody wants, the headstand Shirsasana. You don't find it in this list. So I just want to point that out as one of your general knowledge points. So I'm getting confirmation that 32 are in the list. So I'm happy, because I thought, have I made a mistake there? So I think I've just been counting maybe 2 words together or separating the words or something. Coming back, their headstand is not included in any of these lists. The Hatha and the Garuda, they do not include it. And this is why it becomes one of the talking points when we talk about it. But Shavasana is there. You will find Shavasana there. You will find Garudasana, the eagle. You will find Vrikshasana, the tree. Makarasana, the crocodile. Ushtrasana, the camel. Bhujangasana, the cobra. Kurmasana, the tortoise. Kukutasana, the rooster. You find these terms there. These are found. And that is why when people talk about asanas, these are asanas that have been around for thousands of years for sure. And that is why this modern idea that asana has evolved out of Russian gymnasts visiting Mysore is so absurd, because these things have been around. These asanas have been there. Now the modern variations on this is something new. We are not claiming that these modern, when somebody writes a book with 3,000 or 2,000 asanas, there's a lot of creativity in it. So I do not deny that. But the core of the asana is very traditional, and we should not miss that in our search here. There is a question from Avani, because I mentioned pose and posture. And I think I need to bring this out, because we are talking today about asana. Asana can be described as pose, P-O-S-E. It can be described as posture. And there is a third way it could be understood, and that is poise. So pose, posture, and so you will find pose, posture, poise. These are three terms that can be used to describe the Sanskrita word asana. Asana comes from the root asi, A-S-I. Asi, which means to be. Asi means to be. As in the famous Mahavakyam, the statement of the Vedas that says, Tattvam asi, thou art that. You are that. Because we often think that we are separate from the cosmos. So Tattvam asi is saying, you are the cosmos itself. Tattvam asi. Asi is to be. So if you look at the actual nature of asana, it is not to do, but to be. Which is why the 8.4 million asanas, the 8.4 million asanas are states of being, not something you do. So in this process of asana, the initial part of asana is to pose. This is where you try to look at the externalized aspect of asana. Catch your toes, lift your leg, keep your knee straight, don't bend so much, keep your chin up, tuck your tailbone in or don't tuck it, depending on which part of the scale you are on. And all of this is a lot of doing, a lot of posing. You are posing for the external world. Hey mom, look at me, I'm in Dhanurasana. Hey world, look at me, I'm in Vrikshasana, Instagram, yoga. This is the pose. You are posing for somebody else. Now, as you go in your asana sadhana, as you do the abhyasa, the regular, repetitive and rhythmic movement in your yoga practice through the asana, you then evolve from posing for somebody else or some externalized agency. You move into posturing. To posture means to adopt. And what you are doing is you are adopting certain qualities at the level of your psychological makeup. You are starting to posture energy, which means to flow energy. Now it's no longer about holding your toe and looking good for somebody else. You are starting to experience what the flow of energy in you is. How you are uplifted by certain asanas. How you develop self-esteem by certain asanas. How certain asanas help you to develop a sense of acceptance and humility. The forward bending asanas develop acceptance and humility. The backward bending asanas develop self-esteem, confidence. And you start to posture energy where now the body, the soma, is starting to influence the psyche, the mind, and above. And it is a somato-psychic posturing where an attitude is being simulated through the practice. So you are putting yourself into the bow posture and you are posturing the energy that brings out the best quality of a bow that has that perfect optimal tautness of the string so that the arrow can hit the target. Not too tight, not too loose. That is what you are bringing about at the energy level. In the pose, you are trying to look good for the cover of the next yoga magazine. In posture, you are experiencing the optimal tautness of the string in order for your bow, that is your body and your mind, the arrow, to work together to hit the target, which is your goal of your sadhana. The posturing is occurring. You are posturing, you are simulating. You remember I said asanas are simulation techniques, simulating experiences. You are starting to posture and simulate. Then comes the next level of asana, where now you have gone into the state of asana. Now you are the bow. You are not doing the bow posture, but you have become the bow. And this is a state of poise, P-O-I-S-E. It is a state of equipoise. It is a state of balance. It is a state of samatvam, where now you are being, you are not doing the asana anymore. You have become the asana. You have become the bow posture. You have become the tree posture. You have become the cobra posture. And in doing that, you have become one with the object that you are contemplating by performing that posture. So you have gone from pose, which is a lot of doing, externalized. Posture, which is now going in, the doing is going into being. So from the external, you're going into the internal. And in poise, the asana has become an internal practice. And that internal journey of the asana starts. I must thank Ammaji for her love for language, who has given me this clarity of pose, posture, and poise. And the first time I heard this term poise for asana was thanks to Georg Fürstein. And I place on record my gratitude to that man for bringing such a beautiful term for asana. Because we tend to think asana is all about the body. And we forget that asanas are the best somato-psychic reconditioning techniques. They recondition your psyche using your soma. You use the body to influence the mind. Whenever you feel dull and depressed, go into the Bhujangasana. Go into the bow posture, Dhanurasana. Do the camel, the Ushtrasana. And if you cannot change your mood with that, well, you are going to need a lot of help, okay? Because that will instantaneously change your mood. When you are feeling that I am the big boss, I am this, do a bit of forward bending asanas. And you will start to develop automatically a sense of humility, acceptance. The Ishvara Pranidhana will come into you. What beautiful attitudes. And you do the relaxation practices, you will understand what Nishpanda Bhava, the attitude of letting go in Shavasana. That is why in Shavasana, you keep your hands open, you don't hold them in a fist. You let go of everything. You realize death is the final letting go of all attachments. And instead of having to die for it, you can have the experience of death by doing Shavasana. So pose, posture, poise. So Avani, I hope you got an answer out of that. And I believe Padma is sharing something on this from one of our earlier, I think it was a Satsanga. Was it the Satsanga series? I think so. So we have some stuff there. And those of you in Team 52, you know Jnana Sundari's beautiful images of pose becoming posture, becoming poise, the metamorphosis of asana. where you first are doing it, and then finally the first is you in the tree pose, and then by the end it is just the tree. It's not you anymore. This is the beauty. This is the beauty of the yoga. And this is why yoga as a physical exercise in an air-conditioned studio on the 33rd floor of a building in a big city is the antithesis of even asana. Just call it exercise. Don't even call it yoga. Don't even call it asana. Because, even the term asana has so much background to it. And that is why I think this postural yoga, maybe even if they had called it postural exercise, it would have been better. Definitely you're exercising. What does Amma say about exercise and asana? She says, if you have to call asana an exercise, it is an exercise to exorcise. Exorcise means to get out all the negative spirits, the exorcists that are there. You exercise to exorcise all those primitive memories that are there of being a cobra. Do the cobra posture, get it out so that you are not a cobra anymore. Get the donkey out of you, get the cow out of you, get the mad cow out of you, or whatever you want to get out of you. Get it out so that you are human. And you go through it, exercise to exercise. That is one way we can look at asana also. That not as physical exercise, but you are clearing out the old memories, the primitive memories, which is so beautiful. And again, yes, Michael, it is so interesting. Many of these asanas were not thought out by the yogis. The yogis went into the states of samadhi and they went into the asana. And then the students, when they came out of it, they said, Guruji, you were in doing something. And he said, what? And they said, well, this is what it looked like. And then the Guru would have said, oh, this is what I was experiencing. And that is what the pose came. So if you want to experience it, do the posture. The psychosomatics and somatopsychics, this is where they came in. And they analyzed it. So it wasn't somebody thinking, okay, I will hold my toe and then what will I call it? It was not this modern attitude of creating. That is why they never took credit for it. They never said, I created it. They said, we discovered it. Yoga was discovered by the rishis, not created by the rishis. And that is why, these are things that were discovered, that were seen, heard and experienced. Yes, Divya, over to you now.
So now we are going to go into those 3 sutras that we were speaking about. Maharishi Patanjali gives us 3 sutras related to asana in his Yoga Sutras. They are the first one we already went through initially. That was the start to this lesson. Sthira Sukham Asanam, steady and comfortable should be the posture. And it's followed by Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatibhyam, losing of effort and contemplation on the infinite. So that's what we have been actually seeing when we go from pose to posture and then to poise, where we are actually initially we put some effort to do it and then we slowly lose the effort and then we are contemplating on the infinite. And then the final one is Tato Dvandva Anabhigataha, thereby the pair of opposites cease to have any impact. So these are the 3 sutras related to asana. And again, I'm repeating the same thing. Maharishi Patanjali hasn't given us any names, but these 3 sutras are enough to actually give us the exact essence and significance of asana and what it does to us and what it is.
When we are talking of these sutras, I would just like to highlight, as Divya highlighted, and no wonder I'm so proud of her because she's wise beyond her years. And usually we don't like to praise the younger people in front of them, but I don't mind doing it because I already know who she was and why she is here. So there's no danger in it. But just coming back, people tend to confuse things very badly. And on the internet, so much of misinformation. You find statements like Patanjali teaches 4 asanas. And I'm like, seriously, where can such nonsense come from? It's pure nonsense. I will not hold myself back on that. And then somebody quotes it because everybody thinks what's on the net is true. Please, we need a reality check. If you think everything on the net is true, please have a reality check, because the misinformation, disinformation is so strong. And then this is quoted by somebody who quotes it by somebody, and then you find it into a textbook that Patanjali gives names of asanas. He doesn't give a single name of an asana, nor even a pranayama, if you think about it that way. Now, from what he says, we can interpret it in a different way. That's a different story. He doesn't talk about Nadi Shuddhi. He doesn't talk about Nadi Shodhana, Anulom Vilom. But you have a lot of people thinking Patanjali does it. And the main reason is because the most popular yoga master of India recently is Baba Ramdev. And he always teaches Kapalabhati and Anulom Vilom. And because his center is called Patanjali Yoga Peeth, everybody has started to confuse his teachings and Maharishi Patanjali. Recently, a search on the net, who is the guru of Patanjali? If you put it in, it comes out as Baba Ramdev. So Baba Ramdev is the guru of Patanjali. Well, if you put Maharishi Patanjali, you will not get that. But if you just put Patanjali, because his center is Patanjali Yoga Peeth, and they actually filed a complaint against me for chanting the Yoga Sutra and putting it out as Patanjali Yoga Sutra, because they said Patanjali is our trademark. Anyway, we settled it behind the scenes because he is the chairman of the Indian Yoga Association and I am the director of public relations. So, we settled the matter behind the scenes, but I am talking out against it because it's very wrong. So people are confused. People think Baba Ramdev is Patanjali. There are a lot of people who think that because his institute is called Patanjali Yoga Peeth. So the misinformation comes from this type of confusion. The other thing that gets confused is people think Patanjali is the name of a biscuit and noodles company. Because you have Patanjali, his company is called Patanjali. In fact, I buy the soap. It's very good soap. So the Patanjali soap is very good. Patanjali toothpaste is also very good. Patanjali noodles is much healthier than Maggi noodles. Instant noodles, Patanjali. So you can imagine the young kids who grow up thinking Patanjali is a company name, not Maharishi Patanjali. So one has to be very careful here. Coming back to asana. Maharishi Patanjali, just so that you have no confusion about who it is. Maharishi Patanjali gives us 3 important sutras related to asana. He mentions asana as part of the Ashtanga. That is one mention. But then after that, these are the 3 where he deals with it. And the first one, Sthira Sukham Asanam, we have already seen, where he actually describes what is an asana. What is asana? It is a state of being where you are stabilized in a sense of ease. So he has given us what is it. Then he says, how do you get there? He is a master teacher. I had a conversation with someone who's writing a book which is looking at the Patanjali Yoga Sutras in a new, simplified way. And I just said he's an amazing teacher because he says, asana is a state of being where you are stabilized in your own ease. Then he says, the student says, how do I get there? He says, Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatibhyam. What is the meaning? Prayatna means effort. Shaitilya means to loosen, to let go. So if you want to get to the state of asana, the first thing you need to do is let go of effort. Now that doesn't mean make no effort. Letting go of effort doesn't mean absence of effort. What it means is first you make the effort and then you transcend the effort. You move from effort to effortlessness. This is the movement. We said pose to posture to poise. First, there is a lot of effort in pose. As you go into posture, you are moving from effort to effortlessness. And in poise, it is the state of effortlessness. Prayatna Shaitilya. So first you have to make prayatna. You have to make the effort. You have to try to touch your toes. You have to try to bend. You have to try to twist. You have to try to do it. Then you make the effort in such a way it becomes effortless effort. The other day we talked about the flow experience. You have to first make the effort and then it becomes effortless effort. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita refers to this as seeing action in inaction and inaction in action. In the karma, you see the akarmani, and in the akarma, you see the karma. Seeing the action in the inaction and the inaction in the action. It's beautiful where the opposites coexist. And I'm going to come to that opposites in a few moments. When we look at this, he says, Prayatna Shaitilya. So first you make the effort, Prayatna. Then you let go of the effort. You move from doing to being. This is the way you move in asana. And then he says, Ananta Samapatibhyam. Ananta means the infinity. Anta means that which has an end. That whose end can be seen is Anta. But Ananta, that which doesn't have an end. The endless, infinite. This is why the serpent on whom Lord Vishnu reclines is called Ananta. And that Ananta Sheshanag incarnates as Maharishi Patanjali. So it is not really a snake. Lord Vishnu is the energy of conservation, and that conservation is sustained by infinity. And that infinity that sustains conservatory principle of energy, the conservation of energy, the law of conservation of energy is Lord Vishnu. Sustained by infinity, Ananta. And that infinity incarnates as Patanjali because Patanjali is timeless. And that is why Patanjali is the timeless traveler who resides in the past, present, and future. All of these are connected. It is not there is a snake that fell down and was caught in the palms and became Patanjali. That is just the story we tell. You know, that is just the way to keep people happy with the story. What lies behind the story? The story behind the story is more important. But for that, your consciousness should be open and ready for it. When you talk to a child, you have to talk the children's language. So it goes ba 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 ba, and you also go ba 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 ba. You don't go and say E is equal to MC square to a toddler, okay? You say ba 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 ba, mama mama. You want mama mama? That's baby language. You want the hormonal secretion coming out from the mammary glands by the action of the pituitary gland and the prolactin hormone. You don't say that to a newborn baby who wants milk from the mother. Lotika is laughing, my doctor student who is now a obstetrician and gynecologist. You don't go to the child and say, oh, you want that. You say, mama, 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 ma. Huh? Mamu and ma. Mamu. Huh? That's what you say. So the stories are the baby language. Mama, 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 mama. You have to look behind it. What is the science behind it? Yoga is the mother of all sciences. It has everything in it. And this is not trying to say science is not good. What I'm saying is it all has a beautiful connectivity. What is Patanjali saying? Ananta, that endless infinity, samapatibhyam, let your mind contemplate it. First you do the action. You think of your toes and your nose. You go beyond thinking of your toes and your nose and you go into that state of effortless effort and you start to contemplate the bigger picture. Because when you contemplate the bigger picture, all your efforts will pale in comparison. Your ego will be sublimated when you contemplate the bigger picture, which is the infinite picture of the cosmos itself. You put your efforts and compare them with the universe and you're like, I am insignificant. As you pale into insignificance, you transcend the effort and you come into the state of asana. So the first part, make the effort. The second part, let go of the effort, transcend the effort. And the third part, first your mind is focused on the pose. Move into the posture and then go into the poise by contemplating the bigger picture, how everything is interconnected. You see how all the dots connect and you see the bigger picture. And in that point, at that point of time, you will be having stability. When you see the bigger picture, you will have stability. When you are focusing on the small picture, you will be unstable. Instability is because we focus on the tiny picture. Me, 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 me. As you move from the me to the we, you have that expanded perspective. You start to have stability. If you try to stand on a 1 inch by 1 inch wood piece, it is very tough to be stable. But if it's a 1 by 1 plank, you can be more stable. And if it's 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, you will be very stable. Why? You have expanded the perspective. You have expanded where you stand. Your locus standi has become expanded. The more you expand the place you stand, the more stable you will be. The more stable you are, the more comfortable you will be with yourself because now you know the bigger picture. You think you have all the problems. You realize everybody has the same problem. I talked about a problem in a group today. And then all my friends in the meeting started saying, well, we also have the same problem. And then you realize the problem is common. And then you're not worried about it too much. When you think only you have the problem, you will be very uneasy. When you realize everybody has it, you say, this is a common factor. Now let's think about what is not so common. That is where that Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapattibhyam. So to attain that state of Sthira Sukham, Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapattibhyam is the methodology Patanjali has given. And then he says, what is the result of this? Tato Dvandva Anavigata. He said, you transcend the dualities that are constantly attacking you. I believe it was Rudyard Kipling who talks about the twin imposters of success and failure. And he says, when you can outgrow them, then you will be a man, my son. If is the poem I'm talking about. If, I-F, is a pure yogic, Vedantic, Sankhya poem from Rudyard Kipling. Don't forget, he lived in India for a long time, very influenced by Indian thought. Had a bit of his racial prejudice, of course, that comes through a lot of his writing. When you think about Kim, especially, and even Mowgli, there's quite a bit of racial stuff comes in, but especially with Kim, there's a lot of racial stuff. I must put that out also. But that if is a pure yogic teaching. That twin imposters, what does yoga call them? Raga Dvesha. The two kleshas. The raga, that which is pulling you towards what you think is pleasure. Sukhanushayi ragaha. I think this will come in one of the future lessons. That which pulls you towards what you think is giving you pleasure. And dukkhanushayi dveshaha. That which pushes you away from that which you think gives you pain and suffering. You want an ice cream because you think it gives you pleasure. You don't want an electrical shock because you think it gives it pain. Both pain and pleasure, they pull you away from your sense of balance. Somebody says, wow, you are so great, Dr. Ananda. Someone today posted a photo with me and said, me with my God. Immediately my ego is like, hey, I am God. And I said, and then I remember some people call me a dog. So I said, okay, some people call me God, some people call me dog. It's just G-O-D and D-O-G. And what does it matter? Ultimately, Ananda is Ananda, neither God nor dog. Well, maybe God and dog in the same form also. See, the moment somebody says, well done, you are so happy. And somebody says, well, you didn't really do a good job. You're like, the world's against me. Praise and blame. And again, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, if you want to be Sthita Prajna, someone who has that state of equipoised wisdom that gives you stability, he says you have to overcome the opposites. Praise and blame, hot and cold, up and down, right and left, male and female. Everything, these bipolar opposites that pull you off balance. It doesn't matter whether you go to the pleasures part of the spectrum or whether you go to the pain part of the spectrum, you have lost balance. In that point of balance which lies in the middle, that is why yoga is the middle path, the golden mean. The golden mean, mitahara, yuktahara, that concept of yukta and mita, to be in the middle, a sense of balance. The balance lies in the middle. Where does the balance lie in us? Where we are centered in ourselves. When we are centered in ourselves, neither of the opposites can pull us off balance. So what is Patanjali saying? When you get to that state of asana, tato, at that point, dvandva, dva means two. The two twos. Amma used to call the dvandvas the two twos. The pairs of opposites that come together, the twos that come together. Buy one, get one free. By pain, get pleasure. By pleasure, get pain. Huh? By praise, if you accept praise, you must accept blame. You cannot say, I'll only take praise but no blame. And you cannot say, I'll only take blame but no praise. Because both are imbalanced. Can you accept praise and blame with the same gratitude? Can you accept love and hate with the same gratitude? Can you accept benefit and loss with the same gratitude, the same attitude? That is dvandva anabhigata. You have transcended the dualities. That is why in the Guru Stotra, when we talk about the Guru, we say dvandva atitam. Dvandva atitam. Going beyond. Atita means to go beyond. Dvandva, the dualities. The state of asana is a state where you are at ease with yourself. You are stable in that. And nothing can pull you off balance anymore. Tato dvandva anabhigata. Now, there are many of my friends in the medical field who took up an interest in yoga. And I must tell you, there's a lot of difference between doctors getting interested in yoga and people who have grown up with yoga getting interested in modern medicine. There's a big difference. Because most of our doctors already have a reductionist attitude from the medical training. And then we bring it into yoga. So we try to bring the same reductionist attitude into yoga. Whereas if you have taken up yoga in your life and have an expansive attitude and go into medicine, you perceive medicine with an expansive perception. And that is why I'm so proud of my young kids at Yoganjali. So many of them who now are doctors. Lodika is with us, Balaji is with us. So many of them. Anirudh is coming along the way. So many of them. Why? Because they have the yoga in their cells. From the childhood, they have imbibed the yoga. And now they have medicine also. And your perspective is so different. See, when we talk about Dvandva, many of my friends, they like to say, oh, these are the antagonist and agonist muscles. We have something called reciprocal innervation in our nervous system. When one group of muscles is being stimulated, not simulated, stimulated, the opposite pair of muscles will go into relaxation. For example, I always use this example, biceps. So I can show you my biceps. Okay. Yeah, okay. Anand Raj likes to come and say, hey, you have a good eye. Biceps, triceps. So when I want to contract, bend my arm, the biceps are working to bend my arm, triceps are relaxing. When I want to extend my arm, the triceps are contracting and biceps are relaxing. So when this group is agonist means it is helping, facilitating. So the facilitator, the agonist, when it is working, the antagonist, the opposite, that which hinders, that has to let go, relax. When this is working, this becomes agonist. This is now the antagonist, it has to relax. And the equipoise between agonist and antagonist is governed by the nervous system, where when one group of muscles is getting stimulated, a relaxation impulse goes to the other group. What a beautiful creation we are. You don't even have to think about it. It happens automatically. From the morning when you get out of bed till you go back to bed, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, this is going on. And the only time we know about it is when our nervous system goes from ease to dis-ease, and then we start to have what is called tremors. The tremors are an imbalance of this same activity. Now imagine, bicep wants to contract, tricep should relax. But bicep is contracting and tricep says, no, I'm also going to contract. So what happens? Contract, this is not relaxing. Contract. You see what is happening? Both are trying to contract at the same time. This is the best lesson in relationships. When one is hyper, when one is in mania, the other should be in depression. When one of the partners is in mania, the other should be depressed. When one is in depression, the other should be manic. There has to be a balance. If both are manic at the same time, your relationship is gone. If both are depressed at the same time, your relationship is gone. I'm just using this as a joke. I'm not saying everybody should have psychiatric illness in the family. I'm just saying that when one is agitated, the other should be calm. And this should be vice versa. Because if both partners are agitated, the family has collapsed. If both are too calm, you've again collapsed. There has to be this balance between the pairs. In relationships, in business, in learning, there has to be this beautiful harmony, give and take, give and take, give and take. And that is why one of the key lessons for relationship that I have learned in my life, I'm still trying to follow it. It's a tough one. Is when you are wrong, apologize. Okay, say sorry. When you are wrong, apologize. And when you are right, keep your mouth shut. This is the best ever advice for relationship harmony. When you are wrong, apologize. And when you are right, keep quiet. But we do the opposite. When we are right, we make the other person really, we rub it into them as much as possible. And when we are wrong, we don't say sorry. And in apology, it's not just saying sorry. The first part of an apology is, I am sorry. The second part is, maybe I was wrong. I'm giving you the gray area, maybe. You don't even have to say I was wrong, okay? So I am sorry, maybe I was wrong, or maybe I'm wrong. And the third part, which is the most operative, important part is, what can I do to set things right? Most of us think an apology is just saying a half-hearted sorry. No. A half-hearted sorry is never an apology. I am sorry. Maybe I was wrong, or maybe I'm wrong. What can I do to set things right? That is harmony in relationships. I know this intellectually. I express it verbally, and I'm trying my best practically, but I'm not successful all the time. but I try my best in this because that is the way you can build things. The agonist and antagonist coupling. So many of my physiologist friends like to say dvandvas that Patanjali is talking about are the agonist and antagonist. And if the agonist-antagonist coupling is not proper, you will have tremors, which are called angame jayatva. And they say through asana, you start to help the opposites to get balanced. And hence you move from tremors to stability. And it's a beautiful way to also look at it. I like both the physiological explanation as well as the psychological and metaphysical explanation. And I think they can both coexist and each can supplement an understanding of the other. We'll go back to Divya because I've been talking so long. And it's Divya's class. I am only the assistant here. She is the prime focus. Yes, Divya.
I think we learned a few life lessons today. It comes side by side. It's like we are going into the asana part. So it's like buy the primer of yoga theory course and you get life lessons free. So we just had a very good go through of the three sutras, and don't worry about memorizing them. I think you can maybe have the Yoga Sutra chanting of Dr. Sir and team of Devsina Miss Sangeeta and Meena ma'am. So I think just listening to it will slowly just be understand it, imbibe it, and then it just becomes part of us rather than having the thing open and like Sira Sukha Masanam, repeating it 5-10 times and trying to memorize it. I think if you keep the chanting, that's what I do once in a while. I just play the chanting and then somehow it's going to go into you. So that will be very helpful. The next question is, what are the benefits of asana according to Maharishi Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras? And I think the explanation given by Dr. Sir for the final one of the three sutras that we saw initially would be sufficient and enough, because that's the benefit actually. Tato dvandva anabhigata, that is the benefit, because at the end, that's what we accomplish. That's what happens. That's what is supposed to happen. So that's the benefit one. So you can see that these are the three major ones. And then the first one, Sthira Sukha Asanam, is the definition. And then the final one is the benefits of asana. Going into the next one, we have another list of asanas. As I told you, we'll have a lot of them. Yoga Bhashya has given us 11 asanas. Okay, so no classical, no important, just 11 asanas mentioned in Yoga Bhashya. Let's see. I think there are a few that we already saw. So Padmasana, we saw that, right? Both Hatha Pradipika and Garanda Samhita. Padmasana, the lotus posture, and then Virasana, hero's posture. Bhadrasana, fierce, or as Dr. Sir said, it can also be considered auspicious. And Swastikasana, auspicious, symbolic posture. Okay, maybe he can tell what that is. And Dandasana, the staff posture. When I was small, I made the word stick in my mind. So whenever we were asked to do Dandasana, I'm like, stick. So sit straight, and always in Ammaji's class, she would remind us, sit straight, be quiet, listen. And then she added to it, respect your guru, respect your parents, and then finally be a yogi. Supashraya Asana, supported posture. Paryanka Asana, saddle posture. Crouch Nishpanda Asana, seated heron posture. Hasti Nishadana Asana, seated elephant posture. Ushtra Nishadana Asana, seated camel posture. Sama Samstana Asana, balanced stance posture. So I think the last four were quite big. So I think each word is working out for me. Maybe so can help us one before we go into the next list.
I just wanted to point out that the Yoga Bhashya, it is one of the traditional commentaries on the Yoga Sutras of the Maharishi Patanjali. And the Yoga Bhashya is, I'm just giving you a little bit of background here, said to be an elaboration, because if you look at the Yoga Sutras themselves, they are short and they are succinct. And this is where lot of confusion can come place. And because of that, the Vyasa's Yoga Bhashya. Now, traditionally, we say that it was written by Veda Vyasa. And if you look at Indian culture, nearly everything that is important has been given by Veda Vyasa. Be it the Vedas, be it the Mahabharata, be it the Puranas. And sometimes it becomes a bit confusing. How did one person manage to write all of this? And so then immediately we say, oh, it cannot be him. And there is a perspective that there were multiple authors all bearing the same name. Because in Indian culture, we didn't have, like Henry the First, Henry the Second, Henry the 12th. We just had Patanjali, 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 Vyasa, 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 Vyasa. Or in Tamil Nadu, we have Abhaya, the Tamil poetess. And there are said to be at least a dozen Abhayas at different times who have given us poetry. So it is very common in Indian tradition that people took on the same name and avoided an ego boosting, oh, this is me, so I'm Vyasa the 55th. They didn't do that. They just said Vyasa. Another way to look at it is Vyasa can just mean someone who has codified and expressed the teachings. So anybody who expresses the teachings becomes a Vyasa. This is another way to also look at it. And there is a family surname in India called Vyas, which comes from Vyasa. So it is very easy to lose track. Is it the same person who gave us the Vedas, who has given us the commentary on Yoga Sutras? If it is the same person, then are the Yoga Sutras as old as the Vedas? This type of confusion starts to come in. And lot of the modern scholars want to date Patanjali around 500 CE, what used to be called AD and now is called CE. And I totally am against that. I'm totally against that, because there's no way in the yoga tradition we would find Patanjali after in the new era. Definitely, for sure, there's just no way that is possible. For us, at least 500 BC is the minimum we would look at. And even that, we would say the teachings were before that and got codified around that time. And it's possible one of the written versions is a version that now they are finding, which they want to call 500 CE. So I'll give it to them in that way. But it's still one of these things that make it seem so modern that then you can denigrate it and debase it, which I'm very much against it. We have to respect tradition, and I have nearly pulled out of co-authoring a book chapter on this point of Maharishi Patanjali's dating alone. And I have said that if I find a date in that chapter that I don't agree with, I'll pull out from co-authorship. Because for me, co-authorship is not important at all. Reverence to the tradition is more important. I cannot sell the culture for plastic. It's as simple as that. Coming back to Vyasa. Now, some people say it is Maharishi Patanjali himself who has given the Yoga Bhashya. That after giving the Yoga Sutra, he felt people would not understand it. So he gave this first commentary on the Yoga Sutra. And most people would say that you should study the Yoga Sutras and the Yoga Bhashya together to get a bigger picture of the teachings. I do not subscribe to that view, because I feel that Yoga Sutras alone have enough for 196 lifetimes. So I don't think you need a separate explanation, but it helps. Now it is in this Yoga Bhashya that you find these 11 asanas mentioned. So if you want to know how misinformation is created, Yoga Bhashya has 11 asanas. Someone said, oh, Yoga Bhashya was also authored by Patanjali. And so then someone came up with the misinformation that Patanjali mentions asana in the Yoga Sutra. Can you see how this flow of misinformation occurs? Error quoted by error, quoted by error, and very common in scholarship. Someone makes a mistake and then that mistake gets quoted again and again. And this is very easy if you do not go back to the original. Always when you are quoting a reference in scientific writing, try to find the original reference, because otherwise if you quote somebody who has quoted somebody who's quoted that reference, you will end up with a lot of mess. Now the asanas are self-explanatory, as Divya has explained. But what I find very interesting, if you look at that, is you have seated heron, the Krauncha, which is a crane, the Cyrus crane, which is typical of Indian subcontinent. The Cyrus crane is said to be the Krauncha. So it's more a crane actually. And you have a seated elephant posture. Now, I don't know anybody in modern times who's practicing the elephant pose in yoga classes. You have a lot of cat, cow, and other stuff. I don't find the elephant, so maybe we need to bring it back. When I was down in South Africa with Mariki in the Anjali School of Yoga, we created a giraffe pose, and that we had a lot of laugh on that, just as a fun thing. Okay, you'll say, oh, Dr. Ananda, you also did what you are criticizing. It was just for fun and we stopped at that. We have not continued, publishing books with giraffe poses, but it was a good laugh after one of our trips. And again, the camel. So you find the crane, the camel, the elephant brought into that even in the Veda, Vyasa's Bhashya. But Vyasa's Bhashya only has Padmasana and Bhadrasana. It doesn't have Siddhasana. It doesn't have Siddhasana. That is an interesting point to bring in there. And it doesn't have Simhasana. The lion is not there. So just to put it in context that though we say Siddhasana is the most important in the Hatha tradition, it is not found in Vyasa's Bhashya on the Yoga Sutra. Where you find Padmasana mentioned and Bhadrasana, Swastikasana is also mentioned, but not Siddhasana and Simhasana. I like to look at these, how different authorities have looked at it. Because it gives you another insight into the minds of these great rishis. Divya, can we go on to the next one? Are you there? Yes. Okay. Yes.
So the next one here is how many asanas are said to exist according to the Goraksha Padati. So according to the Goraksha Padati, Lord Shiva long ago taught maybe you can help me reading this. I want to make it
yes, the same actually. 8,400,000 or 8,400,000. It's just the comma is in a different place.
Yeah, no, I was wondering if it would change something.
No, it's the same number is the same. The comma is in a different place.
Okay, so it's the same 84 lakhs kinds of asanas, of which only 84 are particularly useful to yoga practitioners. So I think we're going to see, actually we do have the 84, and I don't know if it's the same, because we are going to see another text, 84 from that text, but even here that's what they say, that the same. Moreover, I think overall the number stays the same, and the Goraksha Padati says that Lord Shiva taught the 84 lakhs, but of those 84 are only like particularly actually used by us and done and practiced by yoga practitioners. Shall we
In
go
fact,
to the next
the
one?
same 84 and 84 lakhs, I believe the Shiva Samhita also has a similar teaching. So you will find multiple sources talking of this 84,100,000, 8.4 million, 84 lakhs. And of that, 84 are important. Of that, 32 are important. Of that, 15 are important. Of that, 4 are important. And finally, you come down to the most important Siddhasana. This is sort of the flow that you find commonly in many of these texts. And the 84 asanas that Divya is going to describe now, they are from a text called the Hatha Ratnavali by an author called Srinivasa Bhatta. This is much later. So this is a much later text, but it is a text where the 84 are elaborated, and that is why I brought it into this book, so that we have a list of the 84 to work with, a working list. And there will be other lists also, but this is a very good list that is well acknowledged in traditional circles. So Divya, you could start off with them, and wherever there's a point, I'll come in to describe it.
So as we saw initially, the first one is Siddhasana, and that's the adept's posture. We already discussed that initially. And then it's followed by Bhadrasana, the auspicious posture. Well, in another place it was fierce, so I think different perspectives are accepted. And Vajrasana, the adamantine posture. Do you want to add on that?
Yeah, just, these English translations are different from, translator to translator. So, for example, Vajra as diamond, Vajra as adamantine. You have these different translations that come in. And Bhadra again as fierce, like Bhadra Kali, Veera Bhadra. These are the fierce forms of the deity. But then Bhadra also means auspicious, as in the Vedic chant where we say Bhadram Karne Vishruniyama Bhadram Parshe Makshabir Yachatra. It means may I hear and see that which is auspicious. It doesn't mean may I hear and see that which is fierce and frightening. So, the context of the word Bhadra is very important. And so it can either be the fierce posture, because it works with enhancing the strong energies, but also it can be an auspicious posture when you want to create auspiciousness, which is change. Transformation is auspicious.
The next one is Simhasana that we also saw. It was one of the 4 important asanas that we saw initially. The end posture. And the 5th one is Shilpa Simhasana, just another prefix to it. So artful lion posture. Then it's followed by Bandhakara Asana. So Bandham, that's a term that can be used like bond, so binding relationship. So I think we could keep that as a clue. And then Samputita Asana, cup posture.
Actually, I was just thinking, that Samputita, Devasena Miss is also here with us. In the Samputta Solumbode, maybe other thing the Solomudima. Yeah. Unmute pannu. Because Devasena brings in the dance angle. This Samputita, there's also a dance mudra, which is Samputta. Yes.
Namaste, everyone. So, as we are learning the dance mudras, we have the one hand mudras, Asamyuta Hasta, and we do have the double hand mudras, the joining. Samyuta, when we are telling like a Samyuta, coming together, like a Samuha, the word is called for society. So when the society means everyone is there. So samuha. So like that, samyuta hastam. So like that, when we are doing samyuta hasta, it is samputa. Like even the vessels we use in the home, we call different types of vessel with the different names. So with that patra, when we are telling just country for the vessels, so sampudam, they call sampudam. Just bring the sampudam. That means they're like one box with the cover, so that it's covered. So like that, the mudra we use like a covering, like a box, or like a secret. Also, we show in the side actually. Some putter. So secret actor. They also say with the people when they are talking. So it can be sampadam with you. Don't leak out with anyone. It can be sampadam. So just they use the term also. So it can be like a secret. So don't leak out to everyone like that. So sampadam we use for the vessels also. Use the term, of course, the mudra, some putta. When we are using the double hand mudras, we have a lot of mudras coming. So when we are using the mudra, it's shown like that. Some putta. We also take to the side, like showing like a secret. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devasena, for that perspective. The moment I saw that samputita, which means cupped, to close and keep secret, as you said, a very beautiful connection there. Yes, Divya, can we continue?
The next one is Shuddha Padmasana. So another prefix. Pure lotus posture, because Padmasana alone, stood alone, it's lotus posture. Dandasana, remember, stick, staff posture. Parshva Asana, side posture. Am I pronouncing it correctly? That's
Parshva.
okay. Along the A line. I think a double A would maybe
Like,
good.
yeah, double A type of thing. Parshva.
Parshva, side posture. Sahaja Asana, natural posture. Bandhasana, bandham, again we have the bandha, that word. So bondage posture. Pindasana, embryo or body pose, also translated as ball.
You know, the pinda refers to this physical body. And when we talk of the chakras, we have the higher anda, the cosmic 6, and the lower 6, which are called the pinda chakras, that are related to the human body. So the pinda is the human body, and the anda is the cosmos. Pinda is also when we take the rice and put it into balls as part of the death ceremony, to represent after the person has died, the rice is made into balls and used as an offering. It is also called pindam. And the word pinda, so the ball, the body, and the embryo. So the pinda is also the embryo. So we have an asana, garbha pinda, the embryo in the womb. That is actually an asana name. So you can imagine that the yogis were thinking about what is the fetus experiencing. How can we experience how can we simulate the experience of the fetus in the maternal womb? Pinda. So a very beautiful concept there. Yes, Divya.
Then we have 14, number 14.
Your favorite.
Mayurasana, peacock posture. And followed by that, we have the Ekapada Mayurasana. So there are variations of Mayurasana. So Ekapada is one, so then single foot peacock posture. And then it's the 6-fold Mayurasana. That's also peacock posture. And Bhairava Asana, Lord Bhairava's posture. Lord Bhairava is a form of Lord Shiva. And Kama Dahana Asana. Kama is desire.
Dahana means to burn. So this is the posture where Shiva, through his third eye, is burning the god of desire, Kama. Kama Dahana. Like in Lingashtakam, Kama Dahana Karunakara Lingam. Kama Dahana. So an asana that is simulating Shiva's capacity to burn desire and go beyond it. Burn desire means to transcend it.
And actually, we'll come across the word karma in many places, actually. I think it will be coming up in the upcoming sessions. Pani Patra Asana. So, Pani Patra Asana. So, Patra, actually, we have a word in Tamil called Patram. That's a vessel. We refer to it. Hand vessel posture. And then Karmuka Asana, bow posture. Swastika Asana, good fortune posture. Gomukasana, cow face posture. Veera Asana, hero's posture. Manduka Asana, frog posture. Markata Asana, monkey posture.
Markata, actually. Markat means a monkey.
And then Matsyendra Asana, Rishi Matsyendra's posture. So actually we have a number of asanas that are actually named after many great rishis like sage Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Matsyendra, and so on. And then 27, Parshva Matsyendra Asana. So sideways Matsyendra posture. It's just the prefix added before. Bandha Matsyendra Asana. Bound Matsyendra posture. Meera Lambana Asana. Unsupported posture.
This word comes from Alambana. Alambana means to have support. Nir means the negation. So Alambana, Nir Alambana, Niralambana, Niralambana. Like for example, when you do the shoulder stand Sarvangasana and you don't have the hands, it's called Niralamba Sarvangasana. If you are using the hands, it is Salamba. Sa means with. So Sa Alamba, Salamba means with support. Niralamba. So this Alambana is the key word here. Maharishi Patanjali uses this word when he talks about the different states of consciousness that are supported or unsupported. And it's very beautiful when he uses that also there. Niralambana Asana.
Next we have Chandra Asana. Chandra is the moon. Kandasana.
I'm trying to think why that Kantava Asana doesn't have an English one. I'm going to have to look at that. I've never noticed that before. The advantage of doing these type of classes is then you have to see all the mistakes and correct them. Because normally this part, I just tell the kids, you read it yourself. I'm not going to go into it. So this may be the first time I'm actually going through it this way. So I'll have to look at that. I'll have a look at it and get back to you. Kantava.
Is it the sage Kandava Muni or something? I don't know.
I will look into it because immediately it's not coming to mind. So give me a few moments, it will come.
Sure. So we'll be going through it until we get reply on that. So from 31 we are going on to 32. Eka Padaka Asana. So Eka again single one. So single pada is foot. So single footed posture. Panindra Asana. Lord of Serpents posture. Paschima Tana Asana, that's Paschimuttanasana. We initially had a query about that. Back extending posture. I'll be moving into the next page. 35, starting from 35. Shayita Paschima Tanaka Asana, adding a prefix before that. Reclining back, extending posture. So Shayita is the key word there that we have to note. Chitra Karani Asana, adorned instrument posture, yoga mudrasana, yoga seal posture, vidunana asana, trembling causing posture, pada pindana asana, foot clenching posture, hamsa asana, hamsa, that's a common term that we all actually hear often, swan posture, nabitala asana, sole to navel posture. We'll, I think, have the nabi word even in the bindu. I think we have that. That will be coming up soon. Navel, nabi bindu, that's where it's located. Akasha asana, akasha space posture. Pada tala asana, rising soul posture. Nabi lasita padaka asana, foot appearing at the navel posture. So it's we have this combination of keywords and just them coming together. Vrishchika asana, scorpion posture. Chakra asana, wheel posture. Utpalaka asana, leaping posture. Uttana kurma asana, extended tortoise posture. So kurmasana alone, that's the next one. Kurma alone is tortoise, turtle. And when we add the word uttana, it's extended. And then going to number 50. Baddha kurmasana, bound tortoise posture. Kabandha asana, belly posture or barrel. Goraksha asana, Rishi Gorakshas, as I told you, like Sage, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Matsyendra, and now we have Goraksha Rishi also. The asanas are just named after them. And Angushta asana, thumb or great toe posture. Mushtika asana, handful posture. Brahma prasadita asana, Brahma pleasing posture. So we could maybe term it as, I think, if I'm not wrong, prasadam is actually given to the god to please them and to inherit their blessings. So maybe we could keep that as a key point just to remember. Pancha Kuli asana. Is that how it comes?
Panchakuli, five-crested posture.
Five-crested posture. Kukutasana, cock posture. Ekapadaka Kukutasana, so Ekapadaka, so single-footed cock posture. Akarita Kukutasana, cock-like posture. Bandha Kuli Kukutasana, bound crested cock posture. Parshva Kukutasana, sideways cock posture. Ardhanarishwara asana, Shiva Shakti posture. The two halves, when half is Shiva and half is Parvati. And Bakkasana, crane posture. Chandra Kanta asana, magical moon stone posture. Sudha Sara asana, shower of nectar posture. Vyaghra asana, tiger posture. Raja asana, Raja king, royal posture. Indrani asana, Indrani's posture. Sharabha asana, griffin posture. Ratna asana, jewel posture. Chitrapita asana, adorned seat posture. The last few. but the Pakshya Garuda posture. Garuda is the eagle.
Pakshi plus Ishvara. Pakshi means birds. Ishvara is the Lord. So the Lord of all birds. Garuda, the eagle, is considered Lord of all birds. Pakshi Ishvara, Pakshishvara.
Ishvara. Vichitra Asana, lovely posture. Nalina Asana, day lotus posture. Kanta Asana, Kanta, long A. Kanta Asana, beloved posture. Shuddha Pakshi Asana, so Shuddha, pure Pakshi bird, so pure bird posture. Sumandaka Asana, very slow, gradual posture. Kaurangi Asana, Kaurangi Siddha's posture. Kaunchasana, Heron's posture. Dridasana, firm posture. Kaga Asana, crow posture. Brahma Asana, Brahma's posture, Lord Brahma. Naga Pita Asana, serpent seat posture. Shavasana, the cock's posture. Actually, many of these terms like Pita, we have seen it repeatedly. So Pita is seat, and then Naga is serpent, Brahma. So just, I think these terms, Pashava, Uttana. So these words, when they're added as prefix, they actually stay the same. So mostly it's the addition of the prefix in before.
What we actually see here is many of the asanas have multiple variations. So it's not like 84 very distinct. That I would say that at least 30 of the 84 seem like variations of others. So, you'll have like different types of Mayurasana, different type of the Kukuta asana, especially. Kukuta is the rooster. And, you find different variations on that. And again, different seated postures. And even here, I didn't hear us say Shirshasana, the headstand. I don't think it was there even in this 84. Now, that is again interesting. Just to put it in its context, because when I was teaching in Berlin a few years ago, my dear Finnish Berlin aunt Lata, who takes care of me and hosts me there, she said, in Berlin, if you are to be a master yogi, you need to do the headstand. That is sort of the unwritten rule amongst the yoga circles. Everybody wants to learn the headstand and be the greatest yogi. So this idea of getting into the headstand is quite a hot topic. And often we wonder, where does this Shirsasana come into the teachings? And the key here is, if you go into the Hatha tradition, there is a concept of mudra. And the mudras are having different types, and the Hatha tradition considers mudra as an asana held with the bandhas. This is how you can understand a mudra, that the asana is upgraded to a mudra by the application of the bandhas. This is how the Hatha tradition looks at it. And you have a very important mudra which we call Kaya mudra. Kaya means the body. So all of these mudras, Swamiji would call them Kaya mudra, to differentiate from the Hasta mudra, which are the gestures with the hand. So you have gestures of the hands, which are Hasta, and the body itself, when you are putting into a gesture, it is called a Kaya. Kaya means the body, as in Kaya Kriya. There is a very important Kaya mudra called Viparita Karani. Now, Viparita Karani is normally done as a poor man's shoulder stand. Okay, you cannot do a good shoulder stand. it comes into a Viparita Karani. So a badly performed shoulder stand has become Viparita Karani in modern yoga. And even worse, lying down with your legs up against the wall has become Viparita Karani these days. Now it is not Viparita Karani at all, okay? But just to put it in context, Viparita Karani basically means doing the practice upside down. Viparita means topsy-turvy, inverted. So any posture where you are upside down is a Viparita. And so there are many authorities in traditional yoga who believe that Shirsasana evolved out of the concept of Viparita Karani and was then brought into the concept of Shirsasana, and that the origin of Shirsasana was as the Viparita Karani Mudra. Because if you look at the actual information given in the Hatha Pradipika and all, they just say, put your body upside down. They don't really tell you which way you are facing and all that. And it's very, very interesting because this is why when people say, oh, I'm practicing according to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I'm like, I don't know what you're practicing because the instructions are very minimal. Without a proper guru, you cannot actually know what to do. So the way we are doing Viparita Karani has become the way that many teachers have taught, but there is a separate school of thought in yoga tradition that Shirsasana has evolved out of the Viparita Karani Mudra. This is just to put it in its context for you to just keep the bigger picture, because any posture where your head is below the heart is a Viparita Karani, in fact. So whether it be the shoulder stand, the elbow stand, or the head stand, or the supported head stand, your head is below because the head is considered the moon. The gastric area, the gastric plexus, the solar plexus is considered the sun. And so the definition here is the sun goes above and the moon comes below. This is how Viparita Karani is described. So when you do Shirsasana also, the moon is below and the sun is above. So whether you do it from Sarvangasana, the shoulder stand, and make it an elbow stand, or whether you do the headstand, in both cases, the moon, the lunar brain, which makes us a lunatic, is below us, and the solar plexus, the solar brain, which is called the gut brain. Nowadays, people talk about the gut brain, and they talk about the gut brain axis, which we looked at the other day in my digestion special session that's there on YouTube as a public video for those who want to look for it. Dr. Ananda, Digestive System Yoga, is on my YouTube channel. And I've talked about this. The sun comes below. So Shirsasana can be put into the Viparita Karani context, and then you have a traditional source from it. Because otherwise, till I would say in the last 100 years, you don't really start to find the headstand as a separate practice. You don't find it so much. And, you know, I don't think, to my knowledge till now, but I look a bit into it, I don't think Shirsasana as a asana separate has been referred to too long ago. And this is where then people say, oh, this is made up. It's not really made up. This is part of the growth of a tradition. The growth of a tradition is different. It's like saying, you know, Dr. Ananda's beard is an aberration of his personality. Okay. No, the beard is part and parcel of the development of my personality. Okay. But, you know, he has a beard, so this is not Dr. Ananda. You know, how will you prove Dr. Ananda is the kid in his photo that he has as his profile picture? Well, you would have to know the continuity of it. People don't understand the continuity. So they will take my present photo and say, that kid is not Dr. Ananda. Or they'll take that photo and say, you know, that is Ananda, but you are not. You are the imposter. This is how this modern yoga scholarship is going. They don't understand the continuity of the tradition. And if you don't understand the continuity, you will get your facts very wrong. This is why the living lineages are so important to understand the true context of where yoga is. And this is why our responsibility, every living lineage has a responsibility to express the teachings in a dignified manner, express it with reference to context. Otherwise, we are going to be saddled with post-lineage yoga, post-modern yoga, which I don't want to tell you the English word that means you don't know your lineage. It starts with B, ends with a D. And that's what it becomes if you are not careful, okay? We need to know our lineage when it comes to yoga. We have to understand the continuity. And otherwise we are taking it totally out of context. You know, taking people out of context is bad. Taking statements out of context is bad. Taking tradition out of context is also bad. We have to be very careful about this, because otherwise we'll have the body, not the soul. Especially talking about asana, this has to come up. And before we close, Divya, can we see that where does Adho Mukha Svanasana come in? That comes in when BKS Iyengar writes his Light on Yoga book. I don't find it coming in much before that. This is why we have issues with that. Before the Light on Yoga, I don't think you really find it much, because the Light on Yoga then got popular. BKS Iyengar became popular, and so then the rest of the family got popular. So it's actually that. I just wanted to show you this image, which is part of the book at this point, which is actually from my Yoga and Modern Man cartoon book. I went through a phase where I drew a lot of these cartoons. And so then Amma put them together as a book. And so I have used a few of them in the updated edition, talking of the Bhoga Marga and the Yoga Marga. And we have the choice. Whether you want to go down the Bhoga Marga, it's downhill, just going down the stairs, much easier. But what does it lead us to? As opposed to the Yoga Marga, that is often tougher, but it's uphill. You have to walk up the stairs. But remember, walking up the stairs is better for your heart, okay? And following the Yoga Marga is better for your spirit. So it's as simple as that. And happiness, effort, perseverance, selflessness, health, peace, samadhi, as opposed to laziness, ego, pleasure, sickness, madness, suffering, and pain. Going down the other side, well, we have a choice, as Lord Yama tells Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad. We have a choice. Is it going to be the Shreya Marga, the path of nobility, or is it going to be the path of Treya Marga, the path of pleasure, where you fall prey to pleasure? And the choice is us. We have our own choice. What do we make each moment? Which path are we going to walk? So I put this in here because, you know, the kids love these cartoons, and cartoons often give you a message in a much more direct way than pages and pages of writing. Divya, can we give our summary of today's class? She has a PowerPoint of that.
So today, lesson 4, we're just going to see the most must-know things enough to pass the exam. What are the 3 sutras related to asana in Patanjali Yoga Sutras? Sukamasanam, which also was the definition given by Maharishi Patanjali, where the posture should be held with firmness, steadiness, and it should be comfortable. And the second one was the second sutra that we saw, Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatitya, where we actually have to first from the effort, putting in effort, and then going into the effort plus, where we are transcending effort. So losing of effort, that's how Dr. Sir put it as words, and then finally contemplation on the infinite. And the final one, we have seen part of the 3 sutras and also as the benefit of asana, tato dvandvana vigata, where the impact of the 2 opposite sides actually cease, stop. And then how many asanas are said to exist? 84 lakhs, 84 and 5 zeros followed. What is the most important asana according to Hatha Pradipika? Siddhasana or Siddha Asana. The adept's pose, which we saw, posture, poise. Which are the 4 most important asanas according to Hatha Pradipika? Siddhasana, the adept's posture. Padmasana, lotus posture. Simhasana, lion's posture. And Bhadrasana, the fierce or auspicious posture. Those were the must-know things, and then we have a lot more in the whole session.
I'm sure everybody is relieved they don't have to memorize the 84 asanas. I'm really enjoying these sessions because Divya has brought back my memories of working on these concepts with the kids at Yoganjali, and over the years, Friday, Saturdays, especially Saturdays, because all the kids could be there on Saturday. We would go into many of these concepts, and you must be thinking, isn't this too much for the young kids? Well, the kids are just amazing, I tell you. My kids are amazing at Yoganjali, and so they kept on prodding me to go deeper into these concepts. That's how these concepts came alive. Started off with 40 pages, and today's a couple of 100 pages because of their efforts.
Thank you, everyone, and let these concepts settle until the next session where we'll be going in depth Ashtanga Yoga, but we'll be going in depth of the concept of pranayama, and we'll be seeing the different practices and quite in depth. So let's make sure we'll be ready for that. Until then, let these concepts that we have learned till date keep going through us. And as we always conclude our sessions, as we have been doing in the last 3, we'll finish off with the 3 mantras, the healing prayers that we had learned initially in the first introduction session of class, so that that's also in practice. Oh. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyanto, ma kaschid dukkha bhat bhavet. Om Sahana bhavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Thank you, everyone, and see you all soon.